Good morning, folks. Welcome back to the Bears Cave. I know it's been a while since you've seen me. I'm Bob, your host. And this morning's topic should be near and dear to everyone. And that is thus. You've probably heard a lot of talk, about a pending Third World War. Well, newsflash, it's not pending. We've been in the Third World War for about pushing 30 years. There has been talk years gone by that the Third World War would be a massive nuclear holocaust all over the planet and would destroy the planet. Well, if that happens, it's not going to be anytime soon. What is happening is that our entire premise of how the United States operates is being deliberately sabotaged. Our way of life, our beliefs are being destroyed from within. And that's the worst enemy that anybody can possibly face, is the enemy within. When you take the oath of office, be it wearing a military uniform, officer's uniform, a two-piece, three-piece suit to be an attorney, anything of this nature, you take an oath. And part of that oath is to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And the worst possible enemy is that domestic enemy from within. Now, this enemy may go by the moniker congressperson, senator, councilman, councilwoman, doctor, lawyer, anybody of harsh left-wing thinking, radical left-wing thinking. Like right now you hear a lot of stuff about critical race theory. Well, that is an extreme radical left-wing agenda. It's also against nature. It's a natural crime. Critical race theory is a natural crime. Why? Because it goes against nature. There's nothing natural about it. Like old Dildo used to say 2 + 2 is 5. Well, that's close enough. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. That's teaching stupidity. So is critical race theory. It's teaching stupidity and loathing of your fellow American, or your fellow Australian, or your fellow Nigerian. It's the same thing. Anywhere on the planet. This war began, I'm going to say 1993. One of the key instruments in the battle of this war was, and in some cases still is, NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, which, ladies and gentlemen, was anything but. It was designed solely to send as many as possible U.S. jobs overseas. And that's exactly what it did. It was designed to give big business a huge crutch in helping them achieve massive billions. And that's what it did. It was designed to basically take labor laws in this nation and throw them backwards 120, 140, 150 years. And that's exactly what it did. One of the steps to achieve socialism, communism in any nation is to take away hope. How do you take away hope? You remove faith. How do you remove faith? Remove God from any and all parts of society. Years ago, it was actually a law. As a matter of fact, it might still be. I'd have to look it up. But years ago, it used to be a law that Congress actually distributed Bibles to every school in the nation. As a boy, I remember seeing Bibles in schools I went to. Sometimes big ones on display out in the middle of the hallway. Sometimes teacher would pull one out of a desk and start reading. We would have anywhere from a minute or two to maybe 10-15 minutes of Bible reading. If you wanted to read your own Bible, you could. That hasn't happened in 50 years, except for in minor exception. So, if you want to talk about the Third World War, you also have to discuss the Cold War, because the Cold War never stopped. It simply changed gears. It switched gears. The spying is still going on. It's more rampant than ever. The worst spying is actually done by CIA, NSA, FBI, basically our alphabet. So when John F. Kennedy and Dwight David Eisenhower did their speeches about the industrial complex, they were right. And who started that topic was Benjamin Franklin, when he said, and I don't remember exactly what year he said it, I know it was in the 1700s, change the persona of the government, the entire persona of the government, every 50 years in order to prevent utter and total corruption. Look it up. He did say it. Over 200 years ago. Over 230 years ago. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? Frederick Douglass said the end of a nation would not come from a foreign enemy, but more the enemy standing next to you. Now, I'm not saying this to separate one from the other. We are all Americans, those that are here legally. Those that are not here legally, are they all our enemies? Well, until they become legal, yeah, they are. But that's not what Frederick Douglass was talking about. He was talking about the enemy that's your neighbor. You now have teachers, doctors, lawyers. Did you know right now in this country, doctors and lawyers are going to jail, being held without bail for actually doing their jobs instead of following a narrative somebody else dictates to them. There was a doctor in, I believe it was Oregon, recently, within the last, I don't know, month, 6 weeks, that came out, and he was doing YouTube videos against the vaccine and how horrible it is, the side effects from it, things of this nature. Um, the videos on YouTube have been pulled. You can't find them anymore. If you can, it's going to be on the dark web. He has lost his doctor's license. They have pulled him from the National Medical Association roster. He is no longer allowed to practice, simply because he was telling the truth. Rudy Giuliani, whether you like him or not, the state of New York has come in because Rudy has been telling the truth. He still is. They yanked his license to practice in the state of New York. Well, Democrats today are not like they were when I was a kid. Not even remotely. For the most part, they're excessively radical to the point of being Nazi Marxists. I know those two words aren't supposed to mix, but they do. Saul Alinsky wrote a book called Rules for Radicals. I read about 3 chapters of it and threw it in the fireplace and burned it. It is that insane. And I do mean insane. Now, insanity, the definition of it basically is doing the same thing, achieving the same exact result, but accepting different results. And that's exactly what the radical left in this country, be it city, county, state, or national, is doing. This coronavirus, the virus is real, but it was deliberately released. It was actually weaponized for one reason and one reason only: to achieve getting Donald Trump out of office. Now, the coronavirus, and it's being done again, if you look at the timing, of it, okay, you can pretty much prove to yourself that the Nazi left designed or helped design and implemented the virus circa basically November of 2019. It's a little difficult to find documentation on that, but it's out there. I've seen it myself. If I had another little device here, I would show you personally, but I can't do that right now. But look it up. It's there. So in other words, exactly 1 year before the 2020 election, coronavirus was released. In mid-February, states began locking down people, mandating that people basically stay indoors, or if you go outdoors, you wear a mask. Now here it is 2 years later. There's now talk of some sort of pox coming about, or this new variant, and you see it all over the lamestream media about this new variant causing all kind of resurgence in the nation, and we need to consider. Well, what they're talking about is a second mass lockdown. First and foremost, I don't think people are going to fall for it this time. I really don't. If they do, then, well, they deserve what they frickin' accept. But it's happening again. Here's the key. This is July the 27th. August, September, October, November. 16 months from today, we have a midterm election. And yet they're talking about the variant causing resurgence in this new pox virus hitting, I think it was New Mexico. Isn't that interesting? Now, in the book Rules for Radicals, it speaks of using biologics as political tools. Marxist Karl Marx discusses using viruses as maneuvering leverage. Karl Marx died over 100 years ago. And this is what the left is using. Is it just the left? No. People with GOP in front of their name or an R in front of their name. But that doesn't make them so. In my book, what it makes them is a traitor. And all traitors need to be tried before tribunal. If dubbed necessary, executed. If that's by public hanging, so be it. But anyway, we are in the Third World War. Spying today is worse than it has ever been by all nations. Here's a perfect example. One of the spies in my book is Anthony Fauci. To the point to where the entity he works for or works with has in fact sent millions of dollars directly to the Wuhan lab. This is not fictitious. This has been proven factual in documentation. His own documentation. From his own desk at the very place that he works. Ladies and gentlemen, this video is getting kind of long. What bothers me at this point is that a great deal of my videos on YouTube are not being viewed, and that's not on you guys. I have been at a certain level of subscribers, the same level of subscribers, for well over a year. And if you do the math, that is not only physically impossible, it's mathematically impossible. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoy the video. There will be more. I'm sorry I haven't been on here very much, but I've been rather, well, discouraged, to say the least. God bless to you all. We'll see you later.